I've seen small children that say they want to be smoking glue. I've seen one that say want to become fire killer. If this is condemned against the video for governor, who will you vote? Hello, Nia. Welcome to this episode. What you're about to watch is a radical dialogue between me and my friends on the subject of how do you know you are wrong? How do you know when your preposition about the word is fundamentally off track? And what do I mean by preposition? You believe that the earth is flat or round or is an oblate period. How do you know either of those opinions is right, wrong, or not? Or you believe someone loves you or doesn't? Or you believe you are a potential gubernatorial candidate in a political party? And that is not just that. You still even go ahead to believe you are going to even win the election. You know, many people in the obedient camp still believe that we robbed them of the 2023 election. I don't believe so. Do you believe so? So how do I know that I am wrong and you are right? Or you are right and I am wrong? So stay tuned and let us have this discussion together. I'm not sure how we are going to end this episode, but I can guarantee you it's a rough ride and you are going to love it. I remain Elon Jobs and welcome to Rational Dialogue. So you are welcome. Essentially, I would like to start where I used to start, with B. Tracy, but he's not right on seat, so he's joining us very soon. How do you know you are wrong? In fact, let's even start from this. Is this a body dialogue for us to be having right now? Like, Josh, what do you think? Is this the right time for us to be discussing whether this is a thing? Or do you find any merit in discussing whether we need to know whether we are wrong or not? Have you found any merit in that?
Yeah, I do think so. In fact, today we were having a conversation and I realized I was wrong about what I thought was right. That was eventually in the right direction.
Okay.
So there's so many technicality to what the reality constitutes at the end of the day, and then what makes sense. And then, the beauty of it is to really understand or underscore what exactly is right about what you are right about, or what exactly is wrong about what you are wrong about, or exactly what's wrong, what makes sense, what are there are so many things to actually discover. When I see them, Jordan Peterson, when they do have all these intellectual conversation, I used to believe it's intellectual masturbation. Like, that just sit down, starts using all these what do we call intellectual dribble, left, right, and center, this one, that one. They're talking about God, talking about this one, talking about. But I see there's the integrity. That's where the merit is.
I think the word is that the devil is in the details. And if you understand the idea that the devil is in the details, then maybe you want to know the details. John, you have a very profound angle to this. Because I think it's the best way for us to open the floor. Like, what is it there to dialogue about the fact that you are wrong and I'm right? Because sometimes I think one of the things that we do, especially when you are in secondary school or in university, we tend to think about right and wrong as a label for ego. Right? I want to prove to you that you are wrong scientifically, blah, blah, just because it's for ego, or the lecturer is more superior in knowledge, or that's how we tend to see the label of, so what you are saying. And I even see people appeal to authority, in terms of saying that, so what you are saying is that the lecturer is wrong and you are the one that is right. I see that play out in classes, or the teacher is wrong and the other is right. So before we go into that body of discussion and ironing out the angles of this subject matter, I want to really know, is that something other than maybe just ego, that is fundamentally important for us to set the record straight, that you are right, I am wrong, you are wrong, I'm right, or this is better, or this is more right than wrong.
I just record.
B. Tracy, you want to chip in something?
Okay. Yeah, I like something about when we are making logical analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a fan of situations where things are usually white and black. or
Okay.
Boolean, where it is usually right, wrong.
Mm.
And I realized that yes, that's a better approach. And many things in life are like that actually.
Yeah, sure.
It's either the case or not. But I became fascinated over time with another angle, which is not about right or wrong, like specifically white and black,
Mm-hmm.
but it is who is making better arguments, or which side is more useful, which side of the argument is giving us a better direction than the other one. And if you've listened to different people make arguments or make claims and everything, you will understand what I'm talking about. So I like that. I like that kind of way to open the mind, which is, of course, at the end of the day, nobody's going to be either right or wrong or whatever the case may be. But nobody's going to be the case is not going to be so cut and dried, blue and white and black at the end of the day. But we know that this is a better way to think about something than this. And I like when we attain such points, even in conversations or dialogues that are related to this.
So you what you are saying is that you like when we can look through the nuance and then we see that this is a better template to follow.
Yeah.
But why? Why do we want to know that this is a better template to follow? A better model that best align with reality. Why do we want even that? Because I think that's what you are trying to communicate. Yes, I'm just trying to put it in more, accurate terms. And what you are saying is that it's important for us to have a firm grasp of an idea that best reflects reality. But why is it that we want to even have an idea that best, model the problem or wrap around the problem we are trying to, iron out? You might bring an armor to a army game, right? And then you may bring a sledgehammer, and then you may but at the end of the day, you may bring a stone. Then, what you are arguing is that there are things that best, there's a better one to use in those three options.
Yeah.
In many of the cases. But why is it that we want to know which is best to use in that case? You want to add something?
So, like I usually say, we are social beings, and at each point we want to move forward.
Essentially,
it is necessary for us to.
Do we essentially want to move forward at all times?
Even if we want to, at each point there are things that we disagree about.
Okay, yeah, I will agree with you that there are things that we do disagree about. But why do we disagree with those things?
We disagree because we don't see things the same way.
I think there's something I'm missing here, because essentially I think, and this is one of the things I want us to be able to reason around those lines. I think very foremostly, we are a being with needs and wants. We need food, we need water, we need shelter, just fundamental human need. And then there are best ways to get these things. There are better ways to hunt, and then, but there's a reason why we need to argue those things out. Like, there's a reason why, and I want everyone on the seat to come to that agreement, to reason through and come to that why. Why do I need to stand among farmers, farmers and tell them this? There's a better way for us to plant, and why do I need to iron out with my fellow hunters that there's a better way for us to hunt? That's what I'm saying. I think people should come so that it doesn't look like I'm just coming up with all the idea. I want each and everybody on this table to come, to come to that space of reason, and then maybe you'll be able to understand fundamentally why we need to argue things. That already now your understanding is like, the arguing things out is like this tertiary, although basic, approach to this thing. But there's a more fundamental reality behind why we need to argue, so that we will not do some things wrong. And that's what I want you guys to be able to give me here. So what do you think is that reason? That's me have something to say about it. Why do you think we need to call, if you are, 50 years ago, 500 years old, that you are around? Why do you think you will need to call other hunters? Because you look like an hunter to me. Why do you think you will need to call other hunters and say, dear hunters, there's a better way for us to, hunt? Why do you think that would be an essential thing to do?
think attempting why, you want to be philosophical, Jordan Peterson
Kind of.
about it, but really, I'm not sure I'm able to do that right now.
Okay.
But you see, one of the reasons why I think that might be necessary at the end of the day will be this. There was a day, right? I can remember when I used to believe you don't take snacks
Okay.
for you can't take it for morning food, afternoon food. Okay, even if you are going to take it for night food, it doesn't make sense to me. Right? But maybe because you want to say you want to eat something just
you
light.
think it's just snacks.
Something that is not heavy and cool.
Exactly.
Like it makes sense that way. Okay. Then that's what I believe. And I think I even believe majority of people believe that. And the shocking reality was I think we were talking about what to eat or something that day, and then the next thing was John was suggesting that was it donut?
Yeah.
Was it donut? It was donut. John was suggesting we should eat donut. I said it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I didn't know when I said it does not make sense. Like I would think, even the height of, I think perhaps you feel the same way or something. But when I heard that they used to use donuts as normal meal in their breakfast in their house. I know donut and co are break food that you eat at school.
During your break, as
that's what
snacks.
me I know as
That's old body.
Or it's where me I come from. Where that's what we call it.
It's just snacks.
And now the fact that John is a meal to John, and that's what it looks like in their own area. And since that time, I tend to see reasons that things are not concluded. Things are not concluded.
So, but have anybody come to the why those dialogues are kind of essential?
Sometimes maybe to know your state of mind. So why should we discuss your opinion about killing somebody or something? Why should we?
You want to?
Why should we discuss your opinion about pedophilia or whatever? So I will know if my kids is safe with you.
No, this is thinking about.
I'm thinking more along the line of what usually ends up being like core motivator of humanity and humanism. Which is preserving our own.
I think that's just like if you think at the baseline of it, right? That's just the exact idea we're trying to do. Which is like the reason why I need to call other hunters that's not the best strategies for us to hunt. Is two things. Number one, don't kill yourself. We need a lot of us around for if you want to hunt these lions. Don't kill yourself. If you go about hunting like this and you are running after lion will kill you. You understand? Then we need to dialogue that. Do you go up front? Do you hide? Do you stay under the roof? Do you stay this? Do you do that? You understand? Essentially, we need to argue those details out. And that's the first step. And then you might think, I'm not seeing the motivation there of me telling other people in my clan or in my society or in my community or my brother-in-law, my whatever, that are also hunters like me. The reason why they should try not to hunt that way. The second thing is that don't kill me. Because if you hunt up front with all your chest and there's a lion in the jungle and you just go ahead and then face it rather than hide and sneak and shoot, I might be hunting alongside with you and then you put us in trouble because you don't understand that these kind of animals we don't face them this is full chest on. They will kill all of us. So essentially, I think the reason why we need to have those dialogue is that we understand that the nature, tragedy is baked fundamentally into the nature of reality. That's just it. So if tragedy is baked fundamentally into the nature of reality, how best can we preserve it? How best can we, engulf ourselves against it? How can we protect preservation of life? Like, so at the end of the day, you end up looking at the model for free speech and every other right that comes along with, having dialogue and then figuring out, that you are wrong is basically premise on the preservation of life. It's at the end of the day, preservation of all of us. If you go ahead and kill somebody, right? How do we know that you are wrong? It doesn't in any way preserve our social existence. Because obviously, you are killing somebody. If we allow a killing frenzy with everybody, You know,
One person will remain.
one person with him,
And he will also die at the end.
and he also die at the end of the day. If we allow everybody to be killing each other. So essentially, the reason why we want to figure out we are wrong or right is not just because of our ego. It's because it can have a very calamitous effect. If you are wrong about how to model yourself against the world, if you are wrong about your moral values or what moral values will best take you off prison or off in the road or off getting killed or off getting, if somebody say, oh, there's graffiti, and this is what happened when you jump from the 50-story building, and then you say, no, I'm not wrong. No. There's nothing like graffiti. What are you telling me? So you are telling me if I jump from this 50-story top building, I will die? If we cannot have successful dialogue and then figure out that you are wrong and I am right, I think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to die. So that's what I'm trying to let you come to that realization. It's more about that there's like you were saying, pedophile in the room. At the end of the day, it's like, don't kill my generation, don't kill my kid, don't molest my kid, don't create trauma that we make them go and commit suicide. Don't, understand? There's a certain deeper core. Don't go out with the wrong presumption, because everything is a presumption. Your footstep, you presumed everything is a preposition, right? You presume that if you take that footstep, you are not going to fall into the deep. That's why you took it. In fact, when they say there's obtained by fraud, when they say there's trickery, at the end of the day, you understand that it's about you make somebody made a wrong decision. Fraud.
Obtained by.
Obtained by trick. All these crimes are essentially you made somebody made the wrong decision. You made somebody made the wrong decision. They are just like that. Like even crimes that even we find it that it is even wrong to make somebody made a wrong decision. Think about that for a second. That we break into her.
He led him. She led. Blah blah blah.
That kind of thing. We even break it as part of our social and moral structure. Now, here's where I'm going. Why are people always wrong? How do you figure out that I'm right or I'm wrong? I think that's where for instance now let's take this Edo State election, Abi. Is that not where? And then that guy said he comes to social media. He thinks Today Not said he's going to win election based on the poll. A popular social media editor, let me bring it to the screen. A popular social media whatever said that poll. I don't know. I even have a fundamental problem with the candidates. I don't know what happened to him. And I'm wondering that who is this guy with black and white screen?
It's from
I think that's Vitiligo.
It's Vitiligo. Okay.
Former NBA chairman.
Former NBA chairman was saying, okay, there's a poll on social media that said, poll that a lot of followers, what's it called?
I'm not living in.
I'm not living in diaspora. In diaspora. Poll that a lot of Ghanaians are there. Poll that.
But to be honest, which poll do you want him to refer to?
Okay.
To be frank.
Rufai Oseni.
If is not leading in any other poll, which poll do you refer to? Which poll? If for real, in the right wing in US, they only refer to Fox News posts or any other right wing leaning post. So
okay.
Really, that's
so now the question that I'm now in particular, I want us to tackle as that. We understand that fundamentally we are trying to preserve life. That's why we are trying not to be wrong. So how do we know? How do you figure out in the context of the election now? So if you are in his shoe, how best will you come to think that you are right or wrong about what your outcome is? Because technically, I believe by and large you will be spending 500 million on this election, and that's 500 million born into the dustbin. If the governor comes to power and did not give him any project, that's it. There's nothing about, and then there's nobody that guarantees that the project that is going to get from the states is going to even make his 500 million back for him. So how do we know, now that we understand it's more about preservation of wealth, life, and everything in between, how do we know that, how do we come to the conclusion that you're right, wrong or right?
Okay, so the question is, who is wrong or right in this context? Is it if I'm Olumide Akpata? The question would be like, what's my goal? Because if you look at Senator Dino Melai, the way he handled his gubernatorial election in Kogi,
okay,
before man and God, I can boastfully say on his behalf, I'm not his fan,
okay,
at all. But I can also say on his behalf that he did not plan to win that election. He did not go and vote for himself.
Okay.
He did not go and vote for himself. So perhaps, I don't know, maybe the party raised some money and then they put it in your care. I don't know. I don't know what his plan looks like.
Like,
I really don't know. I can't say. So I think his number one is the goal. So now, if my goal is to win, the point is, okay, I will have to cite what is at my advantage. But is it good for my candidacy to sound like a clown? Because that was what him citing to the head not. That those that in diaspora were voting. Those in Okitipupa, Asaba were voting.
Lagos,
And then we are
major
talking
Lagos.
about
In fact,
Lagos.
if I'm working in Ibadan, most people don't recognize me. Let me step to anywhere in Lagos. If you're like, Elonia.
Imagine.
So if I'm making a poll and I want to win the election in Ibadan, and I'm making a poll on Elonia and the people say they are going to vote for me, I'm very delusional. So,
you see, that's a problem with people like VT. I see some people were gassing VT the other day that maybe you should go. Many of his fans are even in Nigeria, like
now.
and they're talking about
another part of the world. Even
Another
me
part
that
of the
have
world.
less than 200,000 followers across platform, I know that most of my followers are in different parts of the world. They are
Imagine.
essentially
So-
not just one place.
So number one, anyways, is what am I solving for?
Okay.
Is the
I'm trying to
most
understand
important-
your templates for.
what am I solving for, really? Because if you
So
see this
what
guy,
what
now,
are you solving for, and what does that mean? How do what you are solving for help you in the process of knowing whether you are right?
yeah. Because if you see the way Jack Rich played his stuff now, you see at the end of the day, we saw that you bought from 100 million.
Okay.
You bought from 100 million, and then when you bought the 400 million, you now step down
For
No.
Tunde for
for who?
Tinubu.
For Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Tinubu.
Yeah, for the person that thinks this guy Starboy will win that day, Oshibajo, they say wrong choice before the result of the election. Now, when he stepped down, Ahmed Bola Tinubu won at the end of the day, correct? In fact, Oshibajo didn't come second.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't come second. Even Amici surprised me. He came second. Now, that's not even my point. The point is, at the end of the day, that same Tinubu won the actual election.
Yeah.
And this guy got
Jack Rich.
contract almost even before Tinubu became president. Yeah. It was almost instant. So his whole game plan for us that we're following,
We can clearly see that.
You understand? But
So what you are saying is that your goal is how you measure up your process, because I don't understand how your goal, because people, I think everybody that fundamentally make a claim or make a presumption almost always have a goal. If I'm trying to move from here to there, I have a goal. I want to move from here to there. The only problem I'm making, the only thing that we end up showing that I'm wrong is that when I try to take my third or fourth step, I fall into a ditch. So, which means I have a goal in mind. Like you said, you have a goal in mind. So how does that influence the process of knowing that you are wrong? That's not the best approach to get there. I think that's what we are really discussing.
How does that influence the process of...
Because that's what we really, we saw the move. We saw what Jack Rich Sarah Center that Chris does there. And the did there. But the problem is that he has a process that got him there. How will Senator Jack Rich decide that giving up his ballot, his ticket, for Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the best move? I think that's what we are discussing here. It's not because I think everybody has a goal. Abi, you agree with me?
No, the thing is that, why I was talking about the goal thing is that, we want to presume his goal was presidency. I think in that whole thing, even if his goal was presidency, it wasn't 2023 election.
Okay.
You get my point? So that's why I'm saying that, if we narrow it down to that, his goal is to actually get a contract.
Okay.
So his whole process will make sense to us. Do you get my point?
So what we want to identify is, how do you achieve that goal? We get the goal now.
How do you achieve the goal?
The goal. How do you know you are not wrong by thinking that's the way you get the contract?
Sometimes I think we see templates. Many things are even on you.
Okay.
Sometimes. So I think we can actually see templates. Because, I get your point now. Because, I was challenging Dan that Wike has never been right about his pick for succession. For secession.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was saying he was ever a secondus. He pick him, they fight. He pick another person, they fight. For this person that is speaking, I ever look in those side, he's going to turn on him. I was saying it just before the election, blah blah blah. And just few months after the election, it happened.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow.
So you see that he has a goal too.
He has a goal.
Everybody has a goal now.
Now, are you sure? But if I'm talking about that, there are templates.
Okay.
You see?
Good.
So there are templates. How was it done? In someone has done it before.
In Lagos.
In Lagos.
Okay.
So how was that the case?
How did they achieve
So
that?
I think that's a.
So your preposition that
one of it is a template. You
that
can actually check
you can.
what's on ground and then contextualize.
We still go into that.
Yeah.
We go into that because there are lines like discussion we have earlier today that do not follow templates.
Yeah,
We wanted to add something.
Right.
Yeah, basically, I think the final result
Mm.
also matters. In if I'm right
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not right.
Mm-hmm.
For example, this Jack Rich matter. He bought the form.
Mm.
You actually believe you want to run for the presidency.
Exactly.
Then at the point of maybe on the day of primary election,
Exactly.
he resigned.
Yeah.
He said, I want to give
He
my
stepped down.
Yeah, I want to give my
For
my stuff to Asiwaju Bola
Ahmed
Tinubu.
Tinubu because it's our Ashewaju,
At that point, it got clear that okay, this man wasn't trying to contest for presidency.
President.
Actually, what he wanted to do is maybe just get his name there. Let people know, okay, there's a certain Jack Rich that bought APC form
Uh-huh.
with the aim of, okay, maybe you win contracts from federal government.
Exactly.
Now, that is said and done. Did he win contracts
From
from federal government?
He does.
Yes or no? He
He
does.
did.
Which means his plan worked for him at that point.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's go back to in the history of human.
Uh-huh.
Let's start from the Stone Age to
Exactly.
the Bronze Age.
Uh-huh.
Human started with the Stone Age, where people go to farm and hunt with actual stones.
Yeah.
Then it got to a point where we started using bronze
Yeah.
and it started forming spear from iron. You go to the iron stage. Now, if somebody from a clan that's still using stone to fight and hunt is having arguments with somebody from the other clan that is using iron to hunt and fight, you're having argument. Okay, this is my two, these are two. Which of these two will work?
Okay.
Now, if the stone man say no, my own stone, this thing will work. On that hill, I will die. And the iron man, the man with the iron to say no, despair. Say, this thing will kill you. I can stay from afar and shoot you, and you die.
Okay.
And they say no, let's try it out. And they fight and they go to war. At the end of the day, the iron man won. The man with the iron spear and arrow and quote unquote, he won. At that point, the man with the iron spear and iron tools won because his tools is far more effective than the stone man.
Exactly.
Which means the argument they were having, it was the one on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
The stone man was on the wrong
So
side.
do we need to wait till evil befalls us? Because essentially the reason why we have dialogues is to
do you have to wait till we descend to hell?
Do we have to wait till we descend? I like that word. Do we have to wait till we descend to hell before we discover that it's wrong to say that the stone I've carried is better than the spear you are carrying.
Issue is deep down as human. We know if you're having arguments, right? You always want to be right.
Okay.
At all costs.
And then some people will say, I am of the Davidic generation. What are you talking about? Stones in my hand can do miracles and can fall the Goliath. What are you saying?
Pebbles.
Pebbles in my hand. Oh God. If I sling a pebble to your head. So how do we know that presumption is wrong? It's just wrong. Even before we fall into hell. Because if we are saying we use hell to now do the justification of those who survive. In long ago. I think that's the same model for don't commit these sins, don't commit them, because there's a fire. Because that's a long way to go. That's a long way to wait for. Let's assume that when we all die, we go to hell and heaven to go and discuss these details. Do we have to wait to heaven and hell before we go and discuss these things? That's what I'm saying. How do we know you are wrong? What's the template?
I would have said data-driven evidence. Right?
Data-driven.
But then,
Is it same thing as the templates you are talking about? Like already there are templates. You know,
Yes.
there are,
I would have said,
it's almost the same thing with what he's saying that
No.
hell have to have happened to some people and then we have a template.
We accumulate the data.
Then we accumulate the data and then
even another downside is that the data you are getting, it may be corrupted. It may be just an angle
of the data. Because if you say the man with stone won or the man with spear won, do you know that the man with spear or stone has poisoned the man with spear before the battle started? And then all of a sudden the details. And the devil is in the detail of who won with the
Jacob people went to circumcise some people, and then they went to fight them, and then they won them. You remember that Bible story? They fought them and then they won them. But those guys were weak. They were just healing from
circumcision.
As an adult.
You see the detail. You see the devil is in the detail. You see that there's scam there, there's fraudery going on there. So essentially, that's what I'm saying. Do we have to wait till we descend to hell, like John asked us? Or we have to wait till we have data driven, and Josh is not even talking about one. He's talking about this several iteration of data, and then we now say, oh, I'm making a data driven decision in this case. This is saying something.
Like the question is really hard. When I really thought
Good. We are welcome to that dialogue. Right?
Because when I realized that Dan Smith's argument, because I was leaning towards that side earlier, that
good.
It's really good. We can test and when somebody wins. But then I realized that
so we can rob a bank, and then when we discover that we'll be shot on the way, and then we have discovered we are dead.
And the worst part,
we now discover that we shouldn't have robbed a bank.
And I feel like the most scary part of it all is with the stone man beating the Iron Man. For some reason. Totally different from
for their weapon.
We have learned the wrong lesson. And that's even more catastrophic.
Led us in essence.
That's even more catastrophic because we start to make wrong answers. Because we'll
be perfecting. What will happen is that we start perfecting our stone rather than our irons.
Everybody still here. We agree with me that that's a very big problem.
Now that's why that's why I'm saying that if you are saying of Davidic generation, you know the people I'm referring to, the Christian kind, the Christian apologist type. They will say I'm of the Davidic generation. It doesn't matter the weapon in my hand. What are you telling me? It doesn't matter the weapon in my hand. Sure you get.
Now, wait, even if I say science.
Because we prove that David did it.
If science backs what you are saying, at least they have lots of physics. There's gravity. So what you are saying is that, okay, before gravity, is that what you are saying?
Before somebody tested gravity with their life.
How do we want to confirm? What I'm thinking of now.
Because now we both know that a lot of people have tested gravity with their life. That's why we can be so rest assured. Like, no, let us. At least if now other people fit test them, say whether gravity they real or not. Not be me.
At that point, is it no more of a trial and error?
I think. And that's the point now. And then if we have fundamentally as human being did most of the things through trial and error, we will not survive. I'm just telling you. We will not have survived.
Like drinking poison.
And we will not have made it to this point. You are saying making an argument.
What I'm saying now is that
this is a very hard discussion.
There is a necessity to have a two set to be able to make.
So now, what are those two sets? That is what this discussion is all about.
One of the two sets is information. Definitely, you have to have information before you can be informed enough to make a decision.
You have to have information. What do you mean by have information?
You need information that if I eat this food, it will quench my hunger. You need that before you can start looking for food. So you need to know that what I'm actually feeling now is hunger.
Is hunger?
Before you can now say, well, how can I solve this issue?
Okay.
So I don't know how we generated to this place, how we got to this place, that there are a lot of information that we now have access to. Like,
if I'm getting you right, what you are saying is that our problem is more definitional rather than functional. That is, we need to define the scope of the problem before we even attempt to solve it. You are just making. If I'm getting you, I'm just trying to.
That is, you have to understand that you have a problem first.
And I think that's what you're saying. We have to define what the problem look like.
Yes.
Oh, the problem is
Now-
I'm hungry. You are defining the problem.
Now you know that you have a problem, right?
Good. First step, define your problem.
Now that you know your problem,
Uh-huh.
how do you fix it? There's no way you can fix it.
That's what
if
we want to
you-
know. What do you mean there's no way we can fix it? It is what we are expecting you to give us. How do we fix it? Now that we have defined the problem. The problem is that what? This thing, well, hunting with stone is better than whatever. You know, this stone thing is slow somehow. You know, lions are killing us.
Okay.
The problem is the lion. We took stone to the jungle. Lions are killing us. That's the problem.
I'm now saying we cannot make.
We have defined it. Give us second step.
There's no way you can make rational decision without information. So how do you get all that information? How do you
After
Now
information.
we know that lions are killing us.
Oh yeah.
Lions are
How
killing
do
us.
we-
No, it's not about killing us. It's about knowing, having information.
Okay, now we know.
Now
Oh
we
yeah.
know now, move
Tell
forward.
us how.
Baba,
do we
abeg,
fix it, bro?
we don't know.
Tell us how
No,
we
you
know.
don't know. You don't know.
Professor, we know.
No, I said you don't know.
Okay.
Baba, we don't know. Now, what is the next step? How do we know that the next step is what?
The next step is
What?
how do you fix it? Which is, in essence, what I'm trying to say is that you need information. Either you gamble, either it is after you jump into.
So your point
into
is,
well.
your
Either
point
it's
is also
after you
trial
jump
and
into
error,
well.
right? Like we've been saying.
For a start, it's trial and error.
Oh, why do
For
you
a start.
take? Why does
Try
did it
and
take you this long?
For a
Like
start.
we've been saying, it's
To
trial
define
and
your
error.
answer. To define your answer.
No, I'm just trying to tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the funny thing is that I'm not agree with this guy because basically, you go out into the forest, right?
Yes.
You face the lion. A couple of hunters already died based on your trial and error. You still say we should go and gather information from where?
Or we should not go outside again.
Okay,
They come and meet us in our room.
So by allowing more animals to kill us, or what? What is your point? How do we come up with the idea that it is spare that we need? That's what I'm saying.
How to come up with the idea?
And we already know the solution now to cases like that. How do those people move from okay instead of hunting with stone? You know what you saying? You are saying that we need more data by going there with small stone. What's this?
This thing, even before you can know that a spear can actually pierce into something, you have to have a certain experience of something that is close to it. Maybe, for example, you have a stick that you can actually stick into the ground, and then you see that okay, a stick can stick into the ground. It is from there that you can be more innovative about okay, what can I do?
But first, the only step you
cannot
have
deny the fact
identified for us is that we define the problem. And then this second step, I'm trying to understand it so that we can articulate it properly. Define the problem. We get it. The problem, I've told you, the lion is in town and it's killing these people. It's killing my people. So the second step is what?
The second step is knowing how to do it.
Knowing how do
Knowing
we-
how to- know how to do
knowing
it.
how to fix your problem.
How do we know how to fix our problem?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying you don't know. You don't know. You just don't know. You just have
How
to try what you think you know.
How do we? Which is okay. No, so your second step is more like what?
Is whatever idea you think could work.
This guy is just going back and forth.
That's it.
Whatever idea, how?
Whatever idea.
How now?
How?
We take more stone there or what?
Perhaps if it doesn't work, then we die.
Then
Or
you are
then
saying you
we-
are still saying same thing of try and error. now.
I've never changed my
Because
idea. That's
you
the
have
same thing I've
something.
said.
You have something.
I'm
you
trying
have-
to.
No, I'm also leaning more towards trial and error because I'm just thinking now about how most innovations came about.
It's about
Is
try
that
and error.
even in our own lifetime, like even in our own lifetime, for instance,
Okay, it's
even at
about-
this point when we have
It's about-
multitude of data,
It's about try and
it's
error.
usually about trial and error. Like for instance, I remember that the first people that
Okay.
came across what do you call these things?
Okay.
Nuclear
Okay.
reaction. Like they suffered it. The woman died, like as a result of radiation. We still have Chernobyl today and everything like that. So I am thinking that we still sacrifice
Okay. Wow.
at the altar of this.
Do you know what Elon Musk should have done when he was trying to build SpaceX? He should have followed the first rocket to the moon. Through try and
But
error
at least
and
he
die.
For-
did
at least he
62
also did
million.
try and error. I
He
remember
tried
there was
with
one that
62
I know-
million. He tried
I
with
know.
62 million.
I know.
Don't
I
every
know.
move that
I know,
He
but
did,
you are
sounded
making
like
you are
trial and
making
error.
you are
In fact, 3
making
times.
you are making a fundamental flaw of
Why?
judgment, which
How?
is that you don't understand that there's a process before you say you try. You know, there's a very fundamental process before you
Hey,
say-
Shebi, we
there's
are
a-
not admitting evidence. We said evidence that is available.
You
We are
are
not
getting
admitting
there's a space of conceptualizing. Which is, first you define the problem, and then the second you conceptualize the ideas. Like, okay, here's the thing. I discovered that if you are far from the animal, then we can restrict the chance of we getting one. So can we find a stick and then attach a stone to it? Step one of the iteration of trial and error. Okay, but the thing is that me, I will not follow you because me, I will not follow you. But if people can take the stone that is attached to the stick and take it to meet the lion. Oh,
Okay,
But
well,
we
I
went
can
up
say
with
I can
this.
say this.
How do you
Right?
have
I can say
concept?
this. I can say this. Maybe that we need to pay attention to pattern.
Pattern is
That's
also
trial and
bad.
error. That's
No,
not trial and
It's
error.
still
That's
trial and error. But before you
Because-
jump there, there's this very fundamental thing, which is go back to how do you know you are wrong? Which is like we take first we dialogue the ideas, whether internally or with people, which is more like, okay, here's the thing. What would the kind of hunting that we do is that there's an animal, we have a strong stone that we are holding, we rush at it and we try to the reason why we're having problem with this particular animal is that anytime we are closer, he's strong enough to wave off away and kill him. Okay, what if two people try to reach him at the same time with stone, and then they go ahead and do your so-called trial and error, and then they come and the two of them did not come back home, and they're like, okay, now the last two people that go with stone did not come back home. What if you attach those stones to a what's it called, to a stick, and then we reach out? Okay, the problem is that the stone is not even piercing his body, right? Now, what if we we find something that is stronger? What is stronger than stone? Do you understand it? There's a conceptualization part.
The point is all this concept comes from the fact that we have seen a lion that is eating us and we cannot do anything about it. So it is more of we have
You
tried
are
to
skipping
rush.
a
There's
very important part, and I will tell you why.
Is it the part of we think?
Exactly.
Because that's what I'm
Exactly.
getting it to mean. That we think.
Exactly. That's the most important part you are skipping. It's the first part of the game, which is more like that's the reason why we dialogue. That's why we speak about this thing. Oh, should we allow kids so should we allow kids to do gender affirming transitions?
To transition.
Should we legislate into the law and
That way we don't need to test two kids before we come.
aha? Do we need to have done all those exercises, and eliminate
We
them?
map it in our head.
In our head. We
Even
think
if we are not
about
saying it out.
So before we say we try it, and then it's failures, and then we revert back. USSR tried this to use communism now, but I think in theory they already argued it out, and then maybe they tried and failed. And I think that's the reason why we have enormous data now, and we are telling people to not let us stick towards the word of communism, socialist theory anymore. That people have tried this in several times, and they keep failing at it. But there's a conceptualizing part. There's a thinking through its part.
The makes sense because
There's a thing now. Here's the problem. In that thinking through process, before you go and put yourself in front of lion, how do we know that you are more right than wrong? That's where I'm going with you people. How do you know we are more right than the way you are thinking about it is more right than wrong? How do we know that sending two people to hold the stone and then try to win the man at the same time is a good strategy or is a bad one? That's like the next stage of this discussion. Welcome to rational dialogue. Why are you jumping ahead of yourself? You jump into trial and error. Of course, everything is still, even the camera that is already working to before, it's still a trial and error in the best production setting. Right? It's the 11,000 trial. That's just the meaning. Even in a working camera, it has worked on this thing 10,999 times. This is 11,000 trial. It works. Praise the Lord. Maybe it's work again in 11,001. But then it's all trial and error till the day it's stop working. That's the way the error happen. The day stop. So essentially, before you jump into that part, I think the part that's more important is the thinking it out, is dialoguing it out. It's for us to have this kind of discussion. So how do we know that we are more right than wrong? To say you want to build a startup on top of, or we should cut our children into pieces, or we should allow gender affirming surgeries, or we should put taxpayer money on. How do we know in that dialogue? How do we know before we turn it into concrete? Try and put people in on the line.
I think in science world, I think that's what theoretical physics is about. Where they solve it on paper, do everything, and then
they do the maths equation.
The equation and
They be like, okay,
are we
2SU plus this equals to this, blah blah.
This, that, and which means that whenever they want to go and then they go to the experimental physics,
practical.
then those ones go and practicalize it, and if they get good news, then they give back the response, and whatever the side effects or whatever they realize, they come back with that.
Do you know that one of the fear of those people that were building bomb, atomic bomb, was that you can have a
0.1% chance of a chain reaction.
A chain reaction that
will
will
stop.
infinite, that will not stop. Infinite chain reaction that will just keep
That will
blowing
destroy
everything
the earth entirely.
entirely.
So now, it might seem like I'm taking us back,
Mm-hmm.
but the point is, the idea of what's this? Isaac Newton that said whatever is at rest will stay at rest, except it is being reacted on by
An external force. Mm-hmm.
He cannot come to that idea if he has not seen something like that. So there is still an experience that inform our idea. So if
No, you are sort of cutting off the power of the human mind to imagine it. To come up,
can you imagine if you have not seen anything? Like if you don't know anything at all.
people imagine what
Like
they have not seen.
don't forget that we've admitted
People
that
imagine what they have not seen. People imagine the telephone before
Of
it becomes
course.
a telephone. What are you talking about?
Even blind, we have seen it that blind people cannot imagine what color is. They don't even know. They don't have an idea of what color is.
Have you been
Because
blind before?
They have not seen
Have
color
you
before.
have you been blind before?
Elon Musk is imagining going to stay in Mars.
Hey, Mars, have you been into Mars before?
The point is going to stay in Mars. There are still some presumption that there are certain things that look like how Earth is.
So you have not imagined things that did not happen before
I've not, of course,
at all.
but they are based on things that,
That have
seen.
happened
They are
before.
based on things that have happened before.
And now we have seen lion eating our people. You know,
Before.
and we have seen the stone not working.
So we already have that information.
there's
of
no
that
dismissal.
We are
of
not
that. That's not-
dismissing
we
that.
say, okay, that's the first step.
That is define the problem.
So now
It's part of defining the problem
the
now.
point is how can we have conception of ideas without any information?
What we already have the information that we have. Now we need a new solution.
At least your encounter, you see that movie, that Yoruba movie that I was playing in the morning, old one.
Okay,
I was saying he was a hunter.
Uh-huh.
Then he saw one person. He saw one is it goat or something? Then he wanted to shoot. Then he shot at it, and then the goat turned to a woman. You know how Yoruba movie be funny. The woman has wig. Hey, you understand? But then, when he saw that, the reaction was an information. You understand? So information precedes everything, and then
We already have information, and now we told you the information we have on God. So what do you want us to do? To start taking
I
it
like
from-
the fact that Yoruba people have a word for that situation where we just encountered that first piece of
He
information.
say, really,
They call it emo.
Hey.
really.
How did they know he's a man?
So basically, what I'm asking you now is that before you say we start jumping on the road, which like almost what me I believe is that almost everything, even the things that are working, is a form of trial, right? So forget the trial and error thing.
Before we get there,
We are the problem defining and identifying and fixing stage. Before we jump there, how do we know we are wrong? Before we jump the gun, it's not until you put your 300 million on, you've used every 4 years of your life, 300 million on gubernatorial election, and they're using today enough poll to justify before you know that you are wrong about winning an Edo election. Say you don't want federal government.
Sorry, let me use a programmatic angle.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I don't know if there's any point I've been like that, but I'm trying to remember maybe when I was a beginner, I just started coding and then I'm coding and then I'm coding. But I remember there was a time when I used to run into issues while coding.
Exactly.
But when I was just running into and then I realized that no, this. But at some point it's more like you think about it. You solve the entire problem. You go through the problem to the possible end your brain can allow you to go through it.
Exactly.
Before you open your laptop
Exactly.
to start coding.
That we'll call it what?
Schema,
Development.
drawing the schema.
Schema. We call it
Schema
schema development. You scheme. You come up with this scheme. That's why they say you come up with a scheme. Ponzi scheme. You come up with the scheme before you proceed to the work. So now, how do we know that our schema is wrong? That's question I'm asking, because this one that you are saying we should go and get information from. I don't get it. I don't get it. We already have the information that we have. Our people go hunt with stone. they are trying to attack the lion. The lion skin is not allowing this stone to work. It's killing our people. That's the information that we have.
We want to build a new website.
Mm-hmm.
We want to start a new project.
Exactly.
We want to add a new feature. How do we add this new feature with our existing infrastructure?
We want to get to 1,000 customers.
How do we know that this approach we are trying to follow is wrong?
How do we know that? Okay, when we are saying okay.
Well, of course, we already discussed the reason why we don't want to be wrong, which is like I don't want to raise money $200,000 from investor 500. How much are we trying to raise?
2 million.
Okay, if you're an investor and you're listening to this, we are trying to raise $2 million for KitKat. But I don't want to raise those $2 million from you and then end up discover that I'm spending it on Google ad, and Google ad will waste my dear investor $2 million in 3 months and I will not get one customer. I don't want to do that. And what you were telling me is that I should start bond the money. Is it your papa money? Shebi is investor money. Bond the money. Dear investor, I'm not going to do that with your money. So you understand? I say, is it your papa money? Bond the money. I'm telling you, it's the wrong way to go.
So especially if it is a new route that has never been applied before.
Exactly.
At least
Stone age. We have stone now and lions are not agreeing to this matter and they are chopping all of us. So how do we? Should we run away from, is it the best solution based on the technology available? Should we just run away? Is it the best way to approach it right now to ensure that we run away from everything that look like lion? Or should we?
Won't it even catch up with us?
Or should we come up with space or something? So how do we apply those lines? How do we survive in that world? Before you start saying we jump in front of gun, because I don't think that's the way to go at first. At least not at first.
Okay, sorry. Can we please pick are we sticking to the scenario of how do I not spend 300 million relying on Hussein and Tunde not to get election? Are we like I want us to pick a particular scenario?
No. All this scenario you can use any scenario to make your analogy, because I'm going to test it. Whatever solution you are coming up with, we are going to test it against all these scenarios and then see whether.
No, because in fact, you see the steps that we've highlighted so far. I think I'm trying to use this scenario in my head and it has fitted perfectly.
Which is that?
Okay, we are saying in Nigeria, a governor has not successfully given someone power and then retain the structure.
Okay. For
a long time till it was done in Lagos State. So now, what was the process like? Okay, I'm about to be done. I want to put in someone there. How will I not be wrong with Fashola?
Okay, yeah, exactly.
How will I not be wrong? So it follows that pattern that how we think about it, the mental model, like the premeditation, like that premeditated all the steps. Wait. So if I go, if I leave the governorship, if I go and contest for Senate. Right, I think that was the point. He wanted to contest for Senate. So if I'm going to contest for Senate, that means me too. We have a power. Then at that minute, I also thought, if I go for the Senate, we might even lose this election.
Okay.
Fashola might not become the
governor.
Right. So, and he didn't go for that Senate. He gave it to someone else, and after doing that, you will have been thinking about.
Didn't wait for the result of trying to go for Senate at the same time while trying to put somebody in power.
And thinking about the risking, it won't be relevant if he doesn't have any power whatsoever. He's not the president straight up for him to enforce obedience of. So how is he able to build a system that will ensure Fashola's obedience? I say that's the
question we're asking. How did Ashwaji Bola made those decisions and he wasn't wrong about it? I think that's it. How not to be wrong? That's the question we are really asking, because you cannot just throw yourself in front of gun and say you are doing trial and error. It can be catastrophic. We have said it earlier. It can be really, really especially in many topics. You want to cut my child first and use them to do next 40 years trial and error about whether gendered affirming whatever is a thing to do.
So I think what I was getting wrong was the fact that we already have information.
Sort of. We already have what we have.
Information is default.
It's default. We already have what we have, whatever we have. So how do we know that
before going to how do you know, how to paint a scenario here.
Uh-huh.
Now, my lecturer says Buhari is a bad president. Is the worst president of all time.
Okay.
Discuss in the exam.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I have the information that this lecturer hates Buhari.
Okay.
So I don't need a soothsayer to tell me what to write. to argue in favor of Buhari or against Buhari.
Okay.
Regardless
When I knew this man, this is what this man will mark. I'll give him what he wants. Buhari is the worst president of all time in the whole world.
Exactly.
And I know my A or B is assured. So why do I want to do try and error? Why do I want to flex intellectual knowledge and try to
I first think about it. So I think is the point we are now after thinking about it, is it the next point?
No, but at the point of thinking about it, I would know that we're thinking mode as a thought or not. How do we come to that conclusion that this is next trial? You know, this is the next thing to also try. We are at the point where we can try the next rocket launch. That's the question we are kind of asking. You know, how do we know that we are at the point where we should allow, let's take the gender thing. How do we know we are at the point where we should allow, you know, why we should allow people to start telling us to call them by they or he or she, or we should legislate it because they are part of our law to assert that, you know. How do we know that? How do we know that? Okay, for instance now, how do you know that you don't want to marry a woman that has more money than you? Or you want to first try the woman that has more money than you? Or not? Because how do you want to do that? You want to marry a woman that has more money than you or not?
And then learn.
And
after learning.
You
Come back and
you come up and you're like, it's not good to marry a woman that has more money than you. Or it's good to just leave all the women that have more money than you, stick with the poor girl. How do you want to know that one? How do you...
I think when one is thinking about it, and one of the ways that one may not be wrong sometimes is maybe having some stuff at one's disposal, like behavioral science. Because you see, when we're thinking about whether or not control matters or not, you know, when we're thinking about it, what made sense, like a resounding.
So you are speaking to the topic of, say, you want to decide whether you are wrong about trying to marry a rich girl or poor girl.
Because I was in that space. I was thinking, why? You understand? I think I was asking you 2 days ago that, okay, I was asking director 2 days ago that why should I give up control? Why should I not want to call the shots? Right?
Why is my ego not?
Why is my ego not really a case or important in a relationship? You understand? I was asking, like, what's the point? Why? Then I think at the end of the day, when we're discussing it, the wisdom I actually picked from there was the fact that with already human psychology, how we relate with each other, it's more like people that fucks with you really fucks with you. It's not like maybe you will really be begging them, you will need money to one-on-one relationship. You understand? Like people that fuck with you really fuck with you, and then regardless of what you do, sometimes they just keep at it. They don't even look at your flaws and all of that, and then they just fuck with you. If you need
let me give you an example. Let me give you a good example.
Okay.
If we are going to look at kids and the index of a good kid, like we have a performance in KPI for a good kid. No, many kids that we know will not make it, and their parents invested even far more than some of us on them. Like, are they the best student in class? Probably not. Are they good at any sports? Probably not. Are they cute? Probably not. Are they? And then their parents still fuck with them. You know, even support them more than the kids that are doing very well in class or something sometimes. And then you start wondering, where is that coming from? So I don't think. I'm trying to use that to butter your point. You can continue.
So at the end of the day, we saw that if we really look at like deep sense of human like psychology, how we really relate, if we check that, it may really be a good indicator to whether we are on the right path or we are not. Whether we are in that, it may give a clue. I think the best it can really give us is a clue to. I think, yeah, because at the end of the day, we are like 4 in that conversation, and it kind of made sense. Appealed to like 4 of us. So I think that may suggest that, or else like maybe we meet an higher logic, because this idea of generalization or 10,000 hour rule.
Mhm.
10,000 hour rule made sense for this longest stretch until another argument of generalization was
Exactly.
the case, and then so I think the theory that we have in our head, right? The theory, the is it pre?
So I think we agree on defining the problem, right? So if you define the problem, the next step is that you need to conceptualize what the possible iteration will look like.
Yeah.
What the possible. So now, in this case of we are deciding to marry let's say your option is that you have a rich girl and you have a poor girl, right?
Yeah.
Now, what you are pointing at is that you should do what? You should identify the pattern, the behavioral pattern of what? What do you want us? What should be our?
What human behavior? We should look at human behavior, like at deepest core.
Mhm.
Like what does the human behavior in that regard? What does the pattern really look like? What does the pattern? What's the existing wisdom really look like in that regard? Okay, does it mean if I have all the money, if I'm able to say yes, go, does it mean whether I will be able to control at the end of the day? So knowing that people do whatever the fuck they want to do
Mhm.
at the end of the day in one-to-one relationship over time, it's just like a pattern. Yeah, pattern is the word, because you can only see it. Oh, it's happening in this, it's happening in this case, it's happening in this case, over and over. It's more like the case oftentimes that I don't get to really tell people do this. That only works maybe at work, and people, because I'm paying them, they act like that. But at the core, most of the time, what people do, people find it easier to do what they're already predisposed to it. So for allowing my thinking to follow that direction may really give a clue that maybe I know what I'm doing.
I won't lie. I'm also very big on pattern.
Okay.
Like just like, but
Which is more like if we are translating the pattern argument, which like pattern recognition, to the next step in our argument, it's more like we notice that anytime we stroke the animal with a stone, it doesn't have any effect on him. Or no, every time we struck him around the neck, he cries. You understand? It's more like what you are arguing for, which is like, okay, we started the head more, we started the neck more. Okay, now go ahead.
I'm also very big on pattern recognition, but Josh is much more sharper
Mm-hmm.
at pattern recognition for some reason. I don't know the science or the logic of it, which is in the sense that Josh can tell you that, do you notice that this person is like this person?
Okay.
Or this thing is like this kind of person, which is something I also do. Like the way I think about people most times is that when I meet a person, I used to try to file them under a group of people I've met before, like a kind of list. I rarely meet people that fit into new category recently.
Mm-hmm.
But at a point, I used to meet a lot of people that will fit into a new category entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to have that kind of compartmentalization in my mind where I just know this person is someone like this, and the fact that at the end of the day, I'm usually less wrong. They surprise me at times, but like I'm usually less wrong. Just kind of makes me, I know it's kind of lazy at the end of the day, but makes me lean into it. But when I now realize that some people's pattern recognition system is much more sharper than mine, made me start considering maybe there are some things I'm missing, because there are sometimes just to tell you that so this person is like this person, and it won't manifest. It can't take a number of days, and you'll be like, how? Like this is this. So I don't know. Maybe experiences end up shaping that and stuff like that, but which is usually the case. So I'm big on pattern recognition. But another thing I like doing, because I think what we are saying is how we, maybe if I say how I do my own, instead of trying to do,
and then maybe we can triangulate.
Maybe we can see where.
So what does?
So another thing I do is comparison. Like comparison of what I used to know, especially when I'm getting a new knowledge about something. Comparison between what I used to know and this one. Now, while I'm trying to shake this one as much as possible, this new information as much as possible and everything, after doing that, I come and compare it with my previous knowledge. If it trumps it, my brain will vote for it with one, what do I call it? Should I say, what do we call that stuff? That with one kind of hold back, like I don't know I missed the right word. It's a Latin phrase. So now when I owed that back, the reason for that thing is that I will remember that I have this issue with this system.
Okay.
That's what I'm testing for. So, like, the reason why I've not fully, but if it successfully beats that, what's the name? Then I accept it fully.
Okay.
Now that I've accepted it,
So
fully,
first, let's track back and then put things in order. First, pattern recognition. The pattern recognition thing, I think is agree with the election thing. Dan Smith, you agree with him, which is more like you can see that people that win election is not through social media. Hello, pattern recognition. It's not because Tunde enough posted. I think was Tunde in support of Tinubu during the election. It's not because Tunde supported whatever now. Or when Ozen said it on social media, that doesn't guarantee the victory in the election. You can see the party structure. I think we used to do this party structure analysis kind of thing. Right? Do you have party structure? Do you have structure across different layer, local government, ward, and co to deliver the election? That kind of thing, pattern recognition. And then I like this your idea of comparison, right? So what we comparison look like okay, let's look at the APC people that we are fighting against, right? And then let's look at our own party, What do they have? They have presidential power. They have one person's brother that is going to be the election. One cousin that is going to be the
election rec
in
Edo
residence.
State.
Electoral rec in the residence. Or how did they bear this title? So we can compare the strengths and weakness. Okay. We have this local government under our belt. We have this polling unit under our belt. Or we don't have this one. I heard that the man even lost his own polling unit. So which is like comparison thing, like let's relate that to the idea of knowing how to kill the lion. There's this part of his neck that we think is more softer against his tongue. There's this part of whatever. We notice that its tongue cannot help us, but when we try strong teeth that have sharp edge, it's does more penetration. Can we get something like stronger than that?
Blood.
Then we can compare. We can compare and analyze. Okay, this weapon is working more than this one. That's good. So the first thing dividing the problem. The second is that you want to establish a conceptual stage where you can do essential things like finding patterns, comparing strengths and weaknesses, So what else we need in that? Knowing that we are wrong.
I will let other people. I will yield.
That's what do you
remember any of that?
What other things do you do to understand whether you are wrong or you are not wrong, or you teach argument? Because if you think about it now, let's see in the issues of cutting gender affirmation, blah 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 blah. How do we do that? How do we relate that? Define the problem. What's the problem? What is the problem?
Okay, there are people who believe they would be better off in another gender, being represented as another gender.
Okay, now that's the problem. Let's conceptualize it. No, I don't think that's fully the problem. The problem is that they now want us to recognize them, which is fine for a social construct. Oh, you are female. Wow, God bless you. As a matter of courtesy, I think that's okay. And then they now go further. They said they want us to legally recognize them, and then we should be using.
First, we should address them. They say we should be addressing them by certain pronouns, words.
Okay.
Before they now even move a step further, that we should legalize it. We should enshrine it in our constitution as part of. We should recognize their human rights in that regard.
Then that is a human right for us to be calling them by what they want us to be calling them. We don't even call our mother the thing our mother wants us to call them. Our dad that is even paying our school fees, we don't used to call them the things they want us to be calling them. Now somebody somewhere now wake up said, let us put into the legal decision that we should be calling them.
Wait, let us try and be empathetic towards.
No, I'm trying to be empathetic
because
I'm just trying to understand the problem. I'm trying to define the problem. The problem is that I don't do what they're asking me to do previously.
I think a bigger problem will be better. Which is the problem of transitioning kids.
Okay. Let's even take that one. That one is more even serious. So they now want us to, I'm trying to let me explain their problem.
Reassigning early on.
No, let me explain their problem. Their problem is that they want us to embrace them so much that we should allow them to teach our kids my own kids that not come from your process, voila, to these things, I know. And anyone that will take them as their Lord and Savior, as Jesus of their life, these are working. We should not allow those kids to transition to their type.
If the kid thinks that
He's of their type. Okay.
I think that's a problem.
Okay.
That's a bigger problem. The other ones are kind of.
Okay, so now let's do compare. So what's the way forward now? Let's conceptualize before we try this thing that they're asking us to do.
Before we start wasting kids.
Let's conceptualize our theory. So first, we identify pattern. What are the patterns to be identified? Last time I checked, I've seen small children that say they want to be smoking boo. I've seen one that say want to become aya killer. One say he wants to become a barber.
I've seen the ones that say they want to become doctor. That they are doing law now.
That okay. What have you seen?
I've seen the one that wants to become veterinary doctor, like Husseini Rufai. And he's now a Rice TV correspondent.
Okay, so John, what pattern have you recognized in children?
I've seen me that want to become a political analyst.
I've recognized children. I've seen children that believe that they know more than their parents. They should be making the decision that
in the family
of the affairs of how money is being run.
Okay.
In the family.
Okay. Money that did not make
The money they didn't make.
up until GSS 3.
Okay.
I used to believe I want to be a doctor.
Oh.
In fact, I hold it very, very strong.
Okay.
Very dear to you.
Anybody that knows me, they will know this guy wants to be a doctor.
Doctor.
You should have made a note.
But when it changed was when somebody now asked me the question one day and I said, can you stand blood? I was like, blood? How? Normal blood. Maybe when somebody is injured, we stitch it together. That's
okay.
The person now say, okay, now can you operate a dead body? A dead body. That was when I said, no, I can't do this. So the person now searched for a video, was now showing me the video where some people were doing practicals with
dead body.
That point, at that time, that was when the dream of being a doctor ended for me. I couldn't fathom it.
Okay, so we can all recognize this fully in small children. How many small children have we seen that are making so much wise decision?
Like I thought I would be CBN governor.
I know children too that fell in love.
Oh, okay.
And believe that they are going to marry the love of
their life
when they were children, and then they are older now, and them and the love of their life.
This is called his childhood friend. Nah, they are not childhood friend.
We don't even have to go that far.
Before we see all this.
I've once been a child before. I know the ridiculous decision that I've made, and the ridiculous stake that I've had. Now, when I start to grow up, I start to realize that, what the fuck? Thank God nobody allowed me to do this shit. So it's like that.
Now.
There has been a time that I was dedicated and I wanted to be a soldier because I believe it's a noble
soldier
thing to do. It was when my parents did not allow it. They said it's not. So, but I grew up and I realized that what I thought I wanted to do is not even realistic.
Okay.
The fact that I'm not going to be determining the mission that I want to go to. I'm not going to be
No, you're not going to be like Rainbow.
I'm just going to be this robot that they are sending to one place or another. So it's not like it's my will that.
You thought it's like that will be done.
Respect our soldiers.
You thought it's like that will be done. We respect the Nigerian army and we give them all the caps. But it's not like
I realized that what I thought I wanted wasn't what I wanted.
Okay, good. Now, how do we compare? What do we compare? What is there to compare now?
Let's look at some kids that made good decisions, and then they are
Michael Jackson.
Okay.
Shadow.
Okay.
Justin Bieber. Okay. Chris Brown.
How many do we have on?
I don't know any.
Those ones that I've mentioned at a point in their life, they fucked up what they've built at a young age, like Justin Bieber, and even this guy, Rihanna's boyfriend, former boyfriend.
Now we want to So technically, we can say that the math is not mathing in that department. It's more like children cannot really make decisions for themselves. So how is it that we should not support them? And,
Or
and I
in
think,
fact,
and I think already we established the pattern of not allowing those kids to
we
make.
believe they are foolish enough. If they are foolish enough, that's why we didn't give them consent.
Yeah, let's make such comparisons now.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to alcohol,
We don't allow them.
we
to
did not
drink.
allow them. So why should we allow them in this?
Okay,
In
when
this
it comes to election, we are not allowing
we
them
don't
to
believe
vote.
they have the right to decide the affairs
Sex.
of the country. Something that can be found, Abi.
Uh-huh.
We did not allow them to decide on that pleasure.
Okay.
But even wait, we said they cannot in any way. They cannot in any way even work. You know, we called something child labor.
Yeah.
Oh,
they can't
okay.
Child labor.
They cannot even work.
Child.
Okay,
they
so
cannot work.
when we do that gender transition, we want to put the bill of managing those health and related issues on their parents, have you? Oh, to hear me. So now, essentially, where does this one become something we should consider? If we have not,
Even the one that makes sense for them to be doing, like work at some age, we are not really allowing them to do that. So how is this one?
So how is this one?
Where
How
do
does
we
this one
begin to-
fear
where-
against?
Where does the argument become right, Abi? How do
Yeah,
you know
nah.
that you are making
like
the right
imminent.
And how does it know that you are not wrong by saying we should allow our kids to?
with our current framework?
It's kind of clear that with our current framework of designing,
It's not standing.
it's not standing at all. It doesn't make any.
Because you know we are comparing.
Yes, now.
We are we have check pattern.
We have
and then we are
seen that, we are
now
now comparing now. We see that it's not
comparing it
fine.
against other stuff that are more imminent.
Eh?
We,
They don't even stand
They
at
don't
all.
have
They don't even have a chance. Those ones did not even stand. Those ones that like work. If some child could get to work, they can be supporting their family quite effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Some parents are having issues, right? My son. Some parents have health issues, blah blah blah. But yes, we do not support child labor of any sort. You know, even there is compared education in UK, for instance,
Yeah.
you must go to school till 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Compulsorily. So
In Lagos too, it's
you must
compared.
not hawk.
You must not walk on the street. They will arrest
During
the
school
parents and
hours.
everything like that during school hours. It's a must. Although it's not enforced like that.
It's a force.
No, I mean not enforced like indoor. Like you can't go home in the house to house kind of enforced. So it's not.
But at
as
least you
compared.
can't see on our
But at least we can't see a child on our street
street.
during school hours.
so now, why should we allow them to cut to say, hey, I'm a female, cut me up and to transform me to female? Oh, I'm a guy, add me dick.
Or do we need more frameworks? Maybe our frameworks are not enough.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think Dan Smith and John Wills have not talked about their own framework.
No, I don't know.
The thing is, I generally have this conservative idea of two things.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the times, many questions that comes up, I already have a presupposed answer to it.
Okay, which is like, and where's your not being wrong coming from? Why do you know that you're not wrong by just having a proposed answer?
So how I know that I'm not wrong?
Is that
For instance, now let me give you the background of what informs most of my my idea of what is right or wrong, or any idea. Like
that's what we want to know in the first place.
So I was brought up in a Christian home. So we more like we follow the Bible and then say what the Bible is.
Good.
Now, growing up,
I'm loving this.
that is the pattern. If it is more like, is it godly? Is it biblical? So those are the questions.
WWJD. What will Jesus
What
do?
will Jesus do?
So it is more like that.
Okay.
Growing up, I start to see that there are some things that are not straightforward like I used to think. Like
Okay.
Tracy said, I also realized that at the point that life is not white and black. It's just
binary.
it has a gray area, a gray matter area
Mm-hmm.
to things. Now that I'm in this, that I've seen things that have broke. I've once been an advocate of ladies should not be wearing trousers.
Do you know that they used to believe that there should not be sex before marriage? And I can categorically tell you that based on my experience, I think that is the most ridiculous thing you should try to do. There are some girls that when you see them naked, you will regret the fact that you allow your heart to love them. I'm just giving you facts, and this is coming from a very, very deep, painful part of my heart. Like you just not like what you are seeing, and then I don't think you want to figure out that on the
So now
on the wedding night, and your Bible will tell you to do that.
I've
So,
seen a lot of things that are not that accurate, especially in the current times.
like I'm serious. What I'm talking about is quite serious. Like you will not like what you are looking at, just for whatever reason, biological reason. I don't know anything. You will just not like the shape, the structure, the size of the breast, the whatever. You might think this. I'm just trying to sexualize this conversation. No, I'm just telling you the absolute truth after seeing multiple people being naked, and I'm telling you for a fact, you will just not like what you see.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just warning you, whoever is listening to this podcast that is interested in marrying somebody, and you guys are saying, sex after marriage, and then she always wear this long neck cover body to your place, and then you will regret it too. The size of the
called-
breast,
it's called
this
Ojawasa.
one, that they matter, because you not leave one woman at home now, and you be running after one girl outside later on, and then maybe that's what you want, but basically. They just, and then there's this crazy thing about the fact that your biology itself, that your small man that is under your trouser, that guy has taste of his own, just of his own. You will tell him to rise up like this, he will not rise. He will tell you, okay, Baba, forget that side. I'm not interested in this conversation. You will call him, he will not come. So you that's my personal experience. I don't know. You may say it's not biblical.
Oh, of course, it's not biblical.
So what's your point? How do we know that?
Definitely.
How do you know that I'm the one that is wrong? After my biology telling me that this is not the way to go.
It is how actually I go about it. I'm like, what is actually the most efficient? And then what are we solving for in this situation?
How
Most
do you
of
know
the
what is
time,
efficient?
most of the time,
So essentially, what you are saying is that you are not going to see the naked of your wife until the marriage night, until after wedding, after together forever. Don't
the bed undefiled.
stop lying. Stop. This is rational dialogue. Be rational. Stop lying.
The bed undefiled.
So go ahead. Tell us why your Bible is a
So
very sound model for you to justify whether you are wrong or not.
now, and then, like I've said, that is the base of where I bring my my
Till now.
thought. The first answer that comes.
Mhm.
Now that I've seen that okay
That's a very
this-
important question till now.
See now.
Or
It
previously.
informs it now.
Even
Or
till now.
saying there's an update.
The only thing is things that have made update to.
Like
So,
Okay.
so cases that have made update to, they are
Okay.
different.
So what you are
have
saying that
made
if there's a
updates.
biblical provision, that's what you follow.
Like if I've not made any updates, if the first thing that comes to my mind is the biblical
Provision for it.
provision. Then before I now start to, it is like it's
No,
innate.
now let me get this straight. You have a biblical provision for almost everything, and then if there are some that you have made updates for, and then if you are faced with a new reality that you have not provided, the first source is the biblical provision.
Because it's my first. It's like the innate thing, the first thing that is in my like. The
So when you are faced,
OS,
when you
the
are
OS.
faced by a lion, the first thing is that you remember that your father is the Lion of Judah, and then you face all lions, because in the book of Daniel, Daniel slept with the lion.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I've made updates there.
no, that one even wait, no mind himself. That one even pay you because the same Bible we say thou shalt not test the Lord your God.
God.
So which one?
Are you going for?
There's a lot of confusion for you to say, oh, that's the
Oh, so
hallmark of.
which one are you
There's
going
a
for?
lot of things that you can.
Oh, so which one are you going for?
Wait. I'm not saying that is the right model.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I'm saying what informed my first, like the first thing that the first what do we call it? The first reaction.
Your
Before
first reaction to everything.
The first reaction is like that. Before I start putting thought into it,
Mm-hmm.
that more like the reflex,
Okay, it's your reflex response.
like reflex response.
Mhm.
So before I start thinking about it, that does it make sense? Does it like that? I'm not a child anymore. It's not like nobody is forcing me to be
Good.
anything. So I'm just saying it is an imprinted model.
For
so
you.
it's not like it's not like I'm
controlling in any way.
contr- now that I've seen that. Are you sure that if you slap me, I will turn my left cheek? I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you. I'll turn my left cheek so that I can be prepared enough
So
to give
what
you
you are saying is that
strong blow.
so what you are saying that essentially almost every question you face, you try to model it against your biblical, standards, and if they fall short, you update it for your own sake or something like that. So now let's give the example of when they are trying to convert your children into what's it called? What answer do you have from the Bible that will tell you? You are trying to change your children to transgender, or you are trying to contest for election.
Or you are faced by a lion.
Now, which one? What's your decision? How do the Bible tell us your reflex answer from the Bible? Straight.
My favorite answer is to run away now.
Wow. So is that what the Bible? Fear not. The Bible have 366. Fear not.
You see, don't.
For leap year, it
Let me
even
tell you,
conclude
the
one
point
for leap
is-
year.
The point is, I've been chased by a dog when I was young, so I know that things can bite.
Okay,
Dogs.
let's even leave when you are faced by a lion.
Dogs
What of for
can
election?
bite.
For election, how do you use that as a model to decide that you are not the best candidate to or you are not going about this election in the right way?
Me,
No, you should be
I don't have any biblical this thing for that. So
Framework
it's
on.
just the framework that I've seen on earth, that I've experienced, that I will use. This thing that I'm saying-
What are you saying? The Bible tell us categorically, Olúwa ló ní ọba àti ọkàn ọba àti ìjòyè. It is God that maketh rich. There are many biblical standards that talk about God that appoints
I'm
governors.
sorry, perhaps I've made updates to those parts too. Don't worry. I've made updates to those parts.
So you are this
The-
double standard
uh-huh.
fagot.
I've made it known that it's not like I'm following Bible. I'm just saying what preceded my thoughts.
Okay.
Like, it's what I grew up with that informs my growth. And then
And you
if
are
I
not
see that
challenged it in any way.
Of course, I've challenged it.
That's why
I've
you have the
challenged
updates.
many of them. That's why I have several updates.
So
Updating.
this model, we call it updated Bible.
Updated Bible
Is
model.
that what you are saying?
Is that what you are saying?
Personal updated Bible version. That's what you do.
Because you've updated almost everything. So
Of course.
King John
I'm
version.
saying
King John version
What
of the
you are
Bible.
not getting is I'm not saying I'm following Bible.
No,
Don't
editor
get
John
me
version
wrong.
because it's not King John.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm a Bible follower.
No,
Don't get
we
me
are
wrong.
not saying you are a Bible follower.
So I'm like, before I start,
That's where you build your moral
We are
code
getting
from.
it, sha,
Your-
but then
your decision
updating
framework.
itself is like it negates the entire Bible.
The entire thing.
Model.
Of course,
It's more
of course.
the question is more of your model. You know the way we identify the pattern recognition model. It's the point that we can point it out to someone
name your
else.
model now.
The-
Please
So
And
how do you do this update? Just give us the process because people cannot borrow this.
So it's the
your
model that I use for the
because
update
if
that-
it's
yeah,
if it's
exactly.
if it's classical Bible whatever school of thought, yeah, like classical biblical fagot.
I wish someone was in our midst that we could do that. I could really, because I know people like I can call right now that if we bring them to this conversation, we ask them the model they used to approach, they will tell you is the word of God,
God.
and it's to the core.
It's to call because you are updated now. So how do you update your
So
model?
how
I
do
think
you
that's the
update
most
the-
important. How do you update it to meet reality?
Yeah.
So
The app,
for instance, now,
your Bible app.
for instance, I used to believe that okay, as a child of God,
Mm-hmm.
you should not be wearing trousers for a female at the point.
Okay,
And
you are one of them.
and now and later on, I start realizing that why can the lady not be wearing trousers for the sake of what? The Bible says you should not be wearing trousers. All of that, in essence, you can. So I'm trying to look
At the
for
point where
a
you argue
certain-
that there are female genes is different from male genes. Later on, that's the argument that they used to start with us.
So now it's more like what actually favors me, in essence, in this situation.
So now you update it based on what you think is rationally at your. How do you come up
What
with that
is
rationality?
rationally up to
That's
you?
what we want to know. How do so that means you are a classical Libra with your opinion, which like your classical thought stems from the Bible. How do you liberate them? That's your liberation framework is what you want to know.
So now,
No verse.
so now,
You are narcissistic with the Bible. Say it's what favors you. I mean,
so now there is a part of there is a part that says that people use.
This is narcissistic. It's narcissistic with the Bible.
Sorry, no verse.
There's a part of the Bible that if they slap you on the right cheek, you should turn the left cheek. I will not turn the left cheek. Why? Now, if I turn the left cheek, what's the point of it? Is it that I just want to be dragged down? Do I want to be dragged down? Do I want to be the person that people pick on and then they see easily and then they just
Okay,
like,
now you are doing what? Defining the problem or comparing, or which one are you doing right now?
Defining the
Or
problem.
you are recognizing
and then
patterns?
Defining what I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I don't want people to be slapping me. Why will you slap me? Are you crazy? So I don't like it. Of course, the Bible says you guys you turn the.
I think the foremost thing is more like set the goal, right? Because you are wrong against your goal. Yeah. So you set the goal, the aim you are trying to attain. Then you define the problem that is against you towards attaining those things. And then I hope somebody is noticing all this. Then it's third level is more like you conceptualize it. You conceptualize the pattern, you conceptualize it, and then inside that conceptualizing, which is like the idea, you think through the process, and then you start finding patterns that coexist, and then you start looking for, how do you compare one move against the other? Like, if I move this move on the chessboard, will it be better if I move this move? Sort of that kind of thing.
CPC.
And then maybe at one point you end up trying it out, really practical, you end up putting on. So now you are this Bible guy that when you face problem, you start following this kind of model.
I'm not the Bible guy. Maybe we change it from that perspective. I think that is where we are getting.
I know you are this updated Bible guy.
So I'm this guy
that
sees
is deeply rooted in biblical
don't
theory.
worry about the biblical theory. let's move on from the biblical theory.
That's a Jewish philosophy.
Let's move on from the biblical theory.
Okay, where do we want to?
That have some sort of sense of how things supposed to be.
Stemming from the Bible.
Stemming from the word of God.
You have to acknowledge your source, sir. I mean, where your source coming from.
Don't be ashamed of the gospel.
Don't be ashamed of your source.
It's not about-
That's what that you
It's not
say.
about
This
shame.
is not
It's
waiting
about-
and
it's
going
about
to
the fact that I don't
fuck
want you to get to
But you didn't give us your model.
you didn't give us your model.
Yeah.
Huh?
Because it's
Not even the source. We are asking for model.
Your model.
But I
Like,
can be assuming that okay, after the scriptures, right? The next step is following the okay, what's my goal? What's my this one? What's my pattern? What's the comparison? Yeah, but I will be assuming for you.
no,
So what's your alternative? What's your alternative?
That's the reason why I'm saying that let us let go of the Bible part.
Baba,
No,
is it part of it?
It's not germane to your thoughts.
It's germane to your model.
There's a different colorization that is given.
It's germane to your model.
Different
I
from
will
what
not
I do.
agree for you. It is germane to your model. Okay,
Let me define my model.
It is germane. That's it. It's germane to his model. Are you Quranic? Are you Quranic with your own approach? Because I hear that you people should not even, you should not change the name of your wife. You people should not change the name of your wife. Blah blah blah. Are you Quranic with your model too? Are you? Is that how you solve problem?
No, first of all, let me say I kind of like the pattern recognition model, but for me, I believe there's a point that comes before then,
Which is
and that is knowledge seeking.
okay.
Yeah.
Be having knowledge.
No, seeking knowledge.
You know.
Like seeking was what could be.
What's true?
What's true? What could be. If
from
I'm
different
coming,
sources.
I'm coming.
So that you can then put it into a pattern recognition program. I get that. I like that. Like,
There's this affair that I used to preach in our mosque then. So the affair would say, don't do bad, don't kill anybody, don't commit adultery, don't do this, don't do that. That is a set of punishments that you serve at the afterlife, right? Then there was this day our imam was preaching on Friday, and he said, if you fast during Ramadan fast and you fast this Shaban fast, that God will forgive every of your sin.
Oh, impressive.
Every of your sin. Then I was like,
Arbitrage.
There's an arbitrage in this market.
exactly. If I should do something bad, something that goes against my religion, that means I could wait for the next turn of Shaban fasting and ask God forgive me, I won't do it again. And God will say, oh, my son, I forgive you.
Oh, brilliant.
Then it was on Wednesday. Then I met that father. I used to preach that don't kill, don't commit adultery, don't do. Then I asked him, I say, Imam said this thing on Friday that if you should fast Shaban fast, God will forgive everything. And he has a different stand against it. He said no, that's not true. That's not right. He gave his explanation that some offense are capital offense, while some offense are just minor offense. That God can just say, okay, let me overlook. And this one, I can't overlook this one. Then I told him that, okay, on Sunday evening, because I used to have this open door preaching on Sunday. I said, okay, on Sunday, let's settle it. They say, okay. Then he got to that day and he was saying that Imam said something on Friday that somebody came to meet him. Imam said, if you should fast during Shabbat, God will forgive all your sin, blah, blah, blah. He said, that's not true entirely. If you kill somebody and you fasted Shabbat fast and you say, God forgive me, God will not forgive you for that. But let's say, okay, you did something bad, maybe you insult somebody and say, God forgive me, God can forgive that, since that's not a capital offense. Then one father also stood up, said, no, that's a lie. That's not true. So they started quoting the quoting hadiths and part of Quran. The argument was start going up and down. People held on to different opinion. Even the Imam too held on to his opinion that according to the hadith, if you do this, you do that, God will forgive you all your sin. Then I now think about it in, okay, let's not go in the religious way. Let's bring it down to we human currently in our society. If I should slap somebody,
exactly, and
we go to the police station and they say, okay, let's go to the court. Highest of it is assault, and maybe I'll pay some fine and
exactly,
or start on jail for even one month safe. Case maybe. But if I kill somebody intentionally, now I'm not mentally deranged.
They call it first degree murder.
So
even if you are mentally deranged, there's this thing that they do. They will go and assign to an asylum. It's a mental whatever facility. They will not allow you to be. People that used to think you can say, I run mad, that's why they will not allow you to just be living with people anymore.
Is it temporary insanity?
And all these temporary insanity clause, all these things, they will go and commit you to a mental health facility.
Exactly. So I know, okay, if I should kill somebody in this outside you, chances that I will go to the court and return back to the society in a month is slim. Like the chances are very, very minimal.
Close to zero.
Right, close to zero.
Oh, exactly.
So I could tell that, okay, if I do this is a capital.
Even with the best legal defense, you will still spend 6 months.
This one is a capital offense.
Just for them to be thinking about the details of your crime.
This one is a capital offense. Why this is a minor offense? Like we saw that man that punched one lawyer. One son. So at the end of the day, the man he pays some fine and they let him go.
Bail.
So at that point, I seek the knowledge that, okay, I should ask these two people what is right and what is wrong between their arguments, and they couldn't come to a conclusion. Before me, I now draw out my own opinion from it. Okay, this is our society now. Let's bring it down to our society and let's see how it works. Then we could say, okay, maybe at the when we get to heaven, God can judge us on the way He wants to judge it. But in this earth, I know, if you kill somebody,
there's a judge on it.
There's a judge on it that will judge you. And we know that's a capital offense, and that's the
exactly
so,
good.
I believe seeking knowledge should precede pattern recognition. So maybe after we seek the knowledge and we recognize the pattern, then we can know what's.
I think there's a space for classification of putting things other labels, right?
Yeah,
Oh, this-
I was saying
this-
size, test of intelligence, blah blah blah.
Because something like
Stuff
this
like
work for one-on-one interaction, this work for political.
Scale, does it scale?
This, I'm a communist at
Communist at
home,
home,
capitalist
capitalist
outside,
and
this work for this work under this environment, this work, for instance, now there's no one definition for killing somebody. There's no just one.
Yeah.
There's first degree murder, there's second degree murder, there's involuntary manslaughter, there's tons of, they are self-defense. Self-defense. Imagine that self-defense. There's what they call it, execution. It's not execution they call it when government does it. At war, what do they call it?
I think it's
Victim of war or what?
Casualty.
Casualties or something. And they even be casting what's it called? Civilian with different from
Body count.
from just military fallout.
It's different.
It's too different. So I think there are contexts, and then there's this classification you need to classify that. Sometimes I think people often look for one thing fit all to say, oh, and then or sometimes they used to say because this problem, there's this solution in this, in this example, that means we can. And then the reason why we are trying to look at the pattern of kid versus alcohol, kid versus workplace, kid versus whatever, is because we know that we don't allow all of that. If your gender, if you are biologically baked to like alcohol, it doesn't mean we give you the right to drink alcohol as a child. I don't want to know, even if you're arguing biologically. So where is the thing like, if you are even built for pleasure, your body is built for pleasure, sex, more like your sex, your body always needs sex from you are 15 or 10.
From your DNA.
It's from your DNA. We still don't give you, we don't
It's
believe it's considered for another adult,
hereditary.
to an adult to be sleeping with you.
classification.
On no
Even in
circumstance.
law, it's very important. Like the laws are classified. Like you say, classification of law, you can say that something is
Civil,
civil
criminal.
law, this is criminal, this is substantive law, this is procedural law,
Law.
which is like laws that are describing what you should do. Law, and then there are what you process to follow when you are doing something. And then there are which are procedural laws. Then the substantive laws that are actually that you have to activate. Those that you have to that like you did this is your punishment type of law. So in that kind of situation, we don't need to waste time on procedural law whenever we want to think about whenever we want to think about things that are substantive.
Exam ready.
Right.
The law.
So essentially, there's a thing like that. And then my point is, are you Quranic in your own problem facing? Just the way this guy is biblical, then a little bit of updating, or are you half biblical, or two-quarter biblical, or
I've already said
one
we should
quarter
scrap that
biblical.
Bible. Let's leave
So
that.
so what's your model?
Now,
Due to you believe in your rational reasoning, is that what you are saying?
I think it is more of a
Or you are the try and I forget, you are the try and error guy. There's a problem. I try anything.
I jump into water to see if I jump into the ocean and see if I can swim inside the ocean to get to the
And
beach.
the other side, okay.
There are a few things we don't really know actually. We don't know what happens when you go near a black hole. Like there's been
We don't know. We don't know. You want to try that?
Okay.
You want to try that? You want to try?
Okay, I think one of the scariest things that I'm planning to do is to skydive, and I know the consequence of that. I know how dangerous it is. And I know the reason why I want to do it. I'm not and I know the chances of people surviving it. It's not like almost everybody that does it. That there are few recorded cases of death.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm more of a debate kind of person in my head. Like
Okay.
I'm always if
So you are only debating.
if there is this idea, if you say there is this idea, even from a very young age, I've always debate the fact that I will always debate the.
So how do you
existence.
know which of your agents that are doing those debates in your head is wrong or right?
So it is most about the outcome. It's always about what I want to happen, like what I want to achieve. It's
Okay.
more about the goal.
So how do you know which one that one is more orienting and mapping towards that outcome
So
rather than
So-
working against it? Because I don't see how the Edo guy is actually working towards his goal. I do not see the template. I do not see how it's. You think to the North Pole is what will give you an election in Edo State. See, they want me federal government.
I think one of the things that happens in such cases when you are naive, that is, you don't know how things are. At a point in my life, I used to believe all these popular people like Two-Face and all of that, if they actually contest, they will actually win because a lot of people know them. They are popular and then they are likable.
In fact, even Davido just tweeted now that in a free and fair election, if he contests, I will easily win.
So
replying one person.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Davido in a free and fair election, we won against who?
Yeah, at all. I don't know who he believe he will be running against.
Exactly.
So that's a model. If you look at that,
one.
It's a model that you think
70 million people voted for him.
Okay.
As much as he voted for about 5,000 people, other people they are following. So he's making the presumptive assumption that the fact that 70 million people voted for you doesn't mean that they are going to cut their one vote down to you alone in an election.
So now,
for whatever reason it is.
There's no way I can know if I'm
maybe for local government chairman.
All right, if I have not seen a counter argument.
And depending on against who.
I mean, the 70 million, are they going to go to your
local to go and vote?
And can you be president of Nigeria? If it's presidency, you want to test it across.
So, or what? Or gubernatorial of
or Whiskey fans that are following your page to drop rubbish comments. Adding them
as people that you are making wrong assumption, Very, very wrong assumption.
You follow the video, right?
Yes, I do.
And you're a Whiskey. So if Whiskey is contesting against the video for
one of his tweets.
If Whiskey is contesting against the video for governor, what will you do? Who will you vote for?
Governor of your state. For governor of your state.
For governor, I have to go vote for you.
Whiskey is not for your state. Whiskey is not for your state.
Yes, sir.
The video is for your state.
So true.
And you vote for Whiskey. So where is Davido getting the idea that if you contest for election, is going to win?
I think
that's why we are saying that. How do you know you are wrong?
The same idea Funke Akindele too had to. So
and she was shocked. And she gave it as an instances.
Yes,
that she has over 30 million followers over social media. She said this, and I'm not sure they got up to 100k votes during the election.
So why do people? Why? So why? Those are another thing about this. Your data, the taking data, looking for data thing. That if you don't understand how to interact with those data, essentially you'll be wrong.
Hey, that you're having 1 billion box office does not mean you will win
an election.
I think one of the things is being
that you will have 49% of votes like Atiku. I mean, 40-something% of vote doesn't mean you will be the president.
Then
one of the things is being
Trump had more than 70 million. I think he had 69 million votes or something like that.
And he's not.
No president in history of United States had pulled that. Nobody who won as president of United States had pulled that number. And he lost that election.
And he still lost the election. So
I think one of the things is to look at others. Like we have ideas in our head, and most of the time it's more like it's a concrete idea until it get poked. Now, the mental model of me thinking if Two-Face is going to be, it would win an election, like even a presidential election. Easily. As at then, it's not now that Two-Face is not like that.
I understand. Even you believe that P-Square, both of them will become president.
It's not like I do not have a rational.
One will become president, the other one will VP.
It's just that it's not like I don't have a rational thought behind it.
Do you think that is rational enough?
A thought.
You have a thought. Maybe it's not rational.
It is rational. Let me give you why I'm saying.
Why do you think it's natural?
Let me give you why it's rational. Now, the knowledge that.
How do you rationalize it?
How I rationalize it is about the.
I'm sorry. Trump has 74 million votes.
71 million votes.
How I rationalize it is based on the information that I have.
He's considered as one of the most popular women on earth.
On earth, how many persons is more popular than
President Donald Trump?
Elon Musk is not popular
like Donald Trump.
In some places. We've known Donald Trump since we are.
I'm serious.
And you know one funny thing? Atiku had more votes than Tinubu in 2019 election.
Yeah, than Tinubu had this year.
Than Tinubu had in 2023, and Tinubu is the president, and Atiku is not the president.
Imagine.
Wow.
So
what? data set is changing, so the ration.
So what how do you say you are rational with that?
Mm.
How do you say you are rational? Because I can say now that I'm rational about 2023 election because I got result. So how do you say you are rational with the idea that you know?
You can. The thing is, you can only be rational with the information that you have.
Also, the information that you have was that what?
So now I have this information that people vote for people that they like.
Okay, and you believe that people.
So people vote for people that they like
How do you come up with their presupposition that people vote for people that they like?
because people. It is you've seen that if I have a friend, if now for instance
People
with
like
what-
people
wait,
that they
let me
like.
say
I mean,
what
they
I was
vote
saying
people that they like.
now. I have a friend that is nominated to be a class rep,
Okay.
class captain,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there's this other guy. It is
So and you like your friend, and so
I
you voted for him.
and I've seen
So you
that
now-
play across this thing. I've seen that happen.
You now extrapolate that idea to like national politics, like
So
now,
what
that
happened between kids?
Exactly. When I was talking about I wasn't even. I don't think I was
Okay.
even up to 10 years old.
Oh, I know, understand your point.
So it is a set. It is. I'm not saying that it is perfect. I'm not saying that it's clear.
okay.
If I've not seen any counter arguments,
As
there's no way I
later
can
on.
actually.
I
see that.
understand that you have a different
So
opinion
this
now.
is why I'm
I
not
understand.
saying- so
I
this-
fundamentally
this-
understand that you have a different opinion on again. I want to get
This is
there.
why I'm saying that I'm rational at that point.
You were rational
Because
at that
I'm
point.
like my rationality could. I might be misinterpreting data, or I don't have enough two sets to actually
Okay.
analyze it clearly.
But when you get to university politics, you learn the different lesson.
I-
Even just from university politics,
Then you realize that
you learn a different lesson.
things are not like that. It's not just your family member that wants to vote for you,
Uh-huh.
and then people are not just
People will
voting.
like you, and then I don't remember who was with this thing the time that this girl was contesting for election. That girl, that your
Bella.
girlfriend.
Bella.
I think you already know at that time, I think you were talking to my ears about it. I was saying, I beg, let me hear what. And I was actively against her. That that model will not work. Let's change the model. And it's not because I don't like Bella. Me and Bella, we have, I
And
like
it's not
Bella.
like maybe you had this Simi was the alternative.
Eh,
Not like
nah.
no Sims.
Nah.
I don't think
No,
so.
no.
Simi,
It doesn't follow the math we are setting up, the permutation we are trying to set up. And it doesn't work with the math we are trying to set up. Some people are trying to put people in power, and we are trying to
And the
remove
fact
their
that, okay,
overarching power over the system.
If that I'm not voting anybody in US, I may say maybe I'm leaning right. And I will say Trump. But if I'm an immigrant in US, who will I vote for?
For
As much as I may not like Kamala, I may vote for I
Kamala.
have to
So
remain-
so I like the fact that you say limited data often influence
Yeah.
our rationality, right? And then now the question is like learners seeking that Jasmine was lighting for us. Like this is why you should perpetually seek what knowledge is available. What do we know about the lion that we want to kill? Oh, stone doesn't work. Okay, what about when we do this? That doesn't work too. So you need to. Okay, has anybody killed this thing before? Has any of the culture, any of the other, culture, any of the other neighboring, whatever, killed this thing before?
And then I think one of the things is what safe way can we actually do this before that we will not expose ourselves. Like what practical way can we actually test?
especially given the fact that we are trying to preserve life
Exactly.
in the first.
In the first place. That was.
that
So
was-
how do we know we are wrong? I think it's about this, having rational dialogues.
Yeah.
So essentially what we are finding is that whether we like it or not, before we can know whether we are right or wrong, it's about having rational dialogue, right? It's about knowing where data tilts, and then using some certain framework tools that we have available to thoroughly look at those data,
Right.
Although there's this problem that I now have that would leads to, a lot of paralysis,
analysis that breeds paralysis.
How do we not overthink these things? How do we not essentially overthink this if we are, all over is like we are more mad over you like wrong time.
So you might have to trust your guts too sometimes, but then what we are saying is that your guts can
And lead you to Igbo.
I
Your guts will not be
that
scalable.
we are in the world of simulations too, where you can simulate ideas. I think simulation is very important. After doing this conference, you simulate very well. You try to you know,
Right.
non, you know, non-catastrophic settings that can help you test. Just same way when we are coding, we test
Yeah,
in
test
local
in local
environment before we
environment.
push you live code. You know, that kind of thing.
Although
Non-catastrophic.
sometimes if I'm good in PS, it doesn't signal that PS. Doesn't mean I will be able to dribble in it like.
That's another thing. It's about the similar version.
Yeah, like some errors too that you encounter that move smoothly on your laptop because maybe you have FFmpeg installed, and then when you get to live, it's not installed on the live
Let's
server.
have
and then
a
go
crash.
That's why I love AWS. Like I love that new approach, that
Eh,
Heroku approach
but-
where you don't know what's there,
What's
not
available?
there,
What's
but you know
available?
what's available on
AWS because you are the one that sets it up. So-
you've been,
So how do you handle that too? How do you handle that problem too? I think
Okay.
so. What would be the rational thing about that one too?
Okay. Other than trusting your gut that I just said, because my problem with gut is that I have one kind of, even till today, I have one kind of faith in if somebody presents me with objective questions that there's a chance that my guess can work. Then I tested how much my guess can work in one test I wrote recently. And it's even like almost in this case, it was even what's the name? German, like a German. The question was a German question. It says that
Uh-huh.
the question was that a dash is a what's the, and I just wrote possessive pronoun. No, not possessive pronoun. I don't even remember the name of that. It's not possessive. It's not anything possessive. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's GES. So it is one
Can I couple?
part of speech that came to my mind.
Tower close.
And it's something like that, something around participial phrase. That was what came to my mind. Because it sounded, the day I heard about it, I know it just sounded interesting to me. So I just wrote participial phrase. And I was right.
That's not exactly good order.
I was beginning to say, will this also work for German? Like my thought that if I'm guessing that, then the worst part was that I saw a past question, and then they said dash was born in year dash, and this thing needs to dash, and I don't know the first dash. How do I want to dash the rest? I was like, no,
Don't dash off.
It's not a strategy
Baba, don't
at
dash
all.
off.
It's not a strategy at all. So I don't really trust God that way that much.
I know.
But at the end of the day, if it's I still enjoy guessing sometimes to just see.
me
am
that
I
I
wrong?
said,
left to
see,
it.
me
But
that I
what-
said,
You are left to
me
it.
that I said, maybe you have to trust your God. Sure, you know that when I'm doing the project, problem I have with objective is that I believe I'll pick the wrong answer. If I don't know, and most of the time I believe I will pick the wrong answer.
So now what I want to
I
say is that
Uh-huh.
one other thing I noticed works is when you pre-think and preserve, like in your free time, think. It will really help you. And preserve with whatever lesson you learn.
Okay.
So don't just say, sometimes we think through things so that we can just see the models that we applied to think through that stuff. And that when we need to think through it, we apply such models so that we don't waste our time.
Okay.
Now, I don't think it's a very good strategy.
Exactly.
A better one is when you think and then you follow through. Remember your conclusion. Always
Yeah, so
keep
you
it at the
start
back
from
of your
there.
mind.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
forget
So
it.
what you don't keep track, you lose track. As that's what I used to say.
Yeah, so that anytime that you are called to react fast, you
Mm.
might not be
That
that.
will be postponed.
yeah.
At least what you have in
Your conclusion, just use it at that point. So it's good to pre-think, like even when
there's this sort of trial and error we are doing our video production now that is putting us in trouble. Essentially, that it's one of the reasons why we did not release our last episode. That was very hot-headed. Everybody was us. It's kind of very strange, in a sense. That's why I believe all these, follow your gut. How many guts now that we have put on this camera set now? And then now, where are we? All our guts now is not in the gutter. So essentially, I don't think follow your gut is the next kind of step to
so
do.
all the kind of argument that we used to have,
Mm-hmm.
even just that the downside is that the camera are not usually up.
Uh-huh.
But we used to have some arguments. Those arguments always preserve whatever the conclusion of those arguments are, because
Exactly.
they will be the ones that will open the door for you to heaven in some situation.
Exactly.
So, because it won't be time for you to actually.
I remember there was a time that I don't know, me and Bridget were having this conversation. I've forgotten even the topic that we're discussing. But I shall know that the conclusion that we came about that day is that when people are giving you things that want to like gaslight you that you don't really know the answer, the next thing is, and then you are feeling clueless with what you've thought that is the solution to the thing. You are feeling clueless about it. The next thing you should ask, what's your alternative? The way that is giving you all seats, we don't have an alternative.
That's very essential.
So when you preserve that knowledge, I agree. When you preserve it,
and so that you can question, so that you know the person is not just dribbling you around. They're very unsure ego. It's dribbling around for you to grab a very sure answer from your own. So which is quite a very ironic thing, So essentially, I think we have identified a couple of processes for how to think about, how not to be wrong. It doesn't mean that we are not wrong. We are just trying our best to say, okay, what can we give you? What do we know about not being wrong? But I think we can use all of this model, but at the same time, you don't want to overdwell on whatever you are thinking about. That's when you want to add something. You don't want to overdwell on whatever you are thinking about, because if you and then save anything you think about one time or the other, save the memory of it, keep track of it, so that you don't have to do it over and over and over again. Save it, keep track, Okay. And I think that's it for this episode. Or anybody have something else to add?
So before we call it a day, I'd like to chip in this. Demo is not real life.
But that's what we are talking about, simulation. All these people want to put money in trade markets, And we did not analyze forex markets, as recognizing pattern, blah blah blah. There's so much volume of data that you can't even have an idea of what the fuck is going on. You might the fact that one company is doing better the last 50 years does not mean that this is not the time they want to go to hell.
As in, there was a time that this woman, Cathy Wood, do you know Cathy Wood? An investor in Tesla, young early investor in Tesla. There was a time that people were saying she's doing better than Warren Buffett.
Okay.
When she just started life. I say it's all this one time wonder. That I was seeing a graph recently that when Warren Buffett was like took time to take off, and that has been shooting up trajectory. Our own was like
this is crazy. So
and then even our opinion really on things recently, they'll be like, it's weird that sell that. I think people are even saying that right now we should have an index fund or ETF that will be that anything Jim Cramer says, a trade against it. Anything Cathy Wood says, trade against it. And anything Nancy Pelosi buys,
buy it. And you are set for life.
That model breaks, but I think that works so far right now. That's the only pattern
to collaborate what Dan Smith said.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not done something before, but you think you can do it, it's a lie. Don't think you can do something that I have not done before. Don't think because in your head you know how to dribble somebody. You can dribble with football and think you can do it. You cannot dribble if you have not dribbled.
Don't be so sure. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Assume that you can't do it yet if you have not actually done it.
Because Ronaldo did it with YouTube.
As Ronaldo has done it before, you can be sure that I'm saying this from experience. You just be like,
it's not idea thing is not the same as execution.
I can do what
exactly. Don't confuse
easier when
on paper doesn't
so
mean
true.
I can do what is it 100%. doing? What is it doing there? He's just doing this, he's doing this, and he's doing this, and he's getting this.
That's so true too.
If you have not done it before, don't believe that you can do it.
Everybody believe they are a good fighter until they get punched
in the face.
You see that last Real Madrid match that Hendrick was playing and Mbappe was here, Vinicius was here, and Hendrick shot the ball. If the ball didn't score, I swear to God,
we cancel the guy.
There will be a problem with the guy. But the ball scored actually. Mbappe is free. He will just score. And Vinicius is free. These are top people, tested and trusted. You, 18-year-old guy that doesn't know what life is, you now shot the ball and. Thank God he scored.
Thank God you score.
Thank God he scored.
Just thank God you score. Thank God you score. So I think those are other lessons that it's if you want to go into the detail with this episode, will not finish. These are things you should put in mind. But I think we are able to analyze and talk, and then you can find the pattern in this conversation and use it as a framework for you to consider that are you wrong by thinking you are going to win an election? Are you right by thinking this is the best way to, to make your child, become an adult with no gender sense? Are you right by, with your political opinion? I think some people that were support of P2P already learned their lesson. Some of them are on this table. Are you wrong or you are right? So those kind of things. And then don't wait until you do try and error before you consider what the outcome of those try and error look like. Map the reality, simulate, you understand? But at the same time, you say demo is demo. There's difference with real life, and then put yourself in like put your, apply yourself to the work. And I hope, we meet in the next episode where we have something more radical to discuss, where we, go into details like this and nuances of how. And I pray that you will not be wrong. But if you are wrong, learn to easily cut your crap, because that's another thing that is very important. I learned to cut my crap so fast. I've had about 10 accidents, by and large, car accident, and I decided since 2021, these are many years, about 3 years after, I'm still not driving. Imagine, since 2021, almost 3 years now, I'm still not driving. So sometimes you need to understand to cut your crap. I did the same thing with trying to move around, jumping from Lagos to the other, and renting expensive houses and co. I cut my crap. So learn to cut your crap. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you. My name is Elon Jobs. I've heard from Josh, Dan Smith, B. Tracy, John Wills. This episode and this podcast is sponsored by KitKat. Go and check us out, youthkitkat.com, and you will love it. We'll see you in the next episode.